All right, yo, what up, though, man? I got Texas legend in the building, Dorrough, a.k.a. 6'3". What's good?
With it, man. I'm good.
Hey, man. Hey, welcome to Mogul State of Mind, man. I'm glad to have you here.
I know. I'm glad to be here. This first time.
Yeah, for sure. You know, like I said off camera, you know, I used to get jealous seeing all the interviews with real-life street stars, you know what I'm saying? But I get it. You got to go to the big, like Jay-Z said, you got to let your career breathe.
Yeah. Nah, I was just going to the people I knew, you feel me? Like, you know, just being locked in the city. I ran into them years before, and, you know, they got the platform jumping, so I had to just show love. But this our first time ever doing one, so we're going to be locked in from here on out.
Hey, for sure, man. So, you know, definitely getting here. I want to capture your journey. So from Texas, man, what part of Dallas you from?
So I grew up starting off in Glendale and Oak Cliff.
Okay.
And moved to Lancaster.
Gotcha.
So between Glendale and Oak Cliff is where I grew up. Glendale and Lancaster is where I grew up, went to school in Lancaster, played ball in Lancaster. So yeah, I mean, South Dallas, that's Southern Dallas, but you know, you got South Dallas that's kind of considered South Dallas, but then you got the whole Southern Dallas, which is everything below downtown. That whole area is where I grew up from. So you're talking about everything there.
Dallas has a unique perspective where they're very hard on when somebody say they from Dallas or not. Like if you say you from Dallas, they really expect you to be Oak Cliff, somewhere like that.
Yeah. But see, this is the thing. Most people didn't go to elementaries. Yeah, it's really all about where you went to elementaries at. Like, so it's like if you say you from Oak Cliff, you had to go to an elementary Oak Cliff for that even to be a fact. You know what I'm saying? Or same thing with anywhere else. They like that in LA too. And me, I went to like Lisbon Elementary. You know what I'm saying? That's Lancaster Ledbetter. And then you know my whole journey was between there. And then when I moved to Lancaster, that was my whole journey. Same area to I grew up.
Do you feel like, do you ever get frustrated when people try to just only throw the Lancaster tag on you? Like, he ain't from Dallas, he from Lancaster.
Nah, hell nah. Everybody know what the L is. The L probably put on for the city damn near more than anybody that done put on for the city. You got a lot of people that done came out the L that been putting on from music to sports forever. You get what I'm saying? And plus, I was a baller at the same time. Like, it's proud. That's a place to be proud to come from if you hooped and ran track. You know, even at one point football, but especially hooping and track. Yeah, I always had a history of that in Lancaster. So, you know, and I was a baller first before I was a rapper anyway. So that's really a pride for me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, nah, shout out to the L, man. U.S. Homes Block. Shout out to everybody out there.
Growing up in the L, man, like what was your family dynamic like? Did you grow up in that good traditional household, like mom and dad, or?
Yeah, I had my pops, I had my mama, you know, and I'm the youngest of 11 kids, so I come from you know what I'm saying? I come from a big family, you know what I'm saying, so to speak. We grew up poor, obviously, but I had a pops that hustled, and my mama that helped my pops, you know what I'm saying? And with that being said, I had a lot of brothers and sisters. I had a lot of big siblings, my sisters, my big brother. So I was raised that kind of way. So being the youngest, I kind of had a lot of guidance, you know what I'm saying, and experience to kind of grab onto as a child. But growing up, it was all about sports in our family. Everybody played sports. Well, at least my household, when I grew up, my big brothers was big in football and other sports, and then I played ball. So for me, my childhood was more about sports and trying to make it out playing sports. Yeah.
It's dope hearing that, man, because, you know, most of the time you hear the story where the dad may not be around.
Yeah. Maybe. You hear a lot of those stories, but then a lot of times people be having those type of situations and then they don't want to highlight them for whatever reason. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you know, I feel like people should always highlight what their situation was. Yeah. Because no matter what, no matter where you really coming from, coming out the South, anywhere, coming out, shit, really, if you coming out the black community, you coming from some type of struggle.
For sure.
No matter where you coming from, for the most part, you know, so it's really just about taking what you got and expanding on it and, you know, trying to grow out your situations, whatever that was.
You know, Father's Day here, man, you don't see a lot of fanfare for the fathers like they do Mother's Day.
Facts.
What were some of the biggest things that you felt like was the pros of having your dad in the household and as a, you know, saying to help you develop to become the man you are today?
just the image. You know what I'm saying? Every day I saw my daddy work. You know what I'm saying? Like till this day, my pops is a guy that, when I think of my pops, I think about him working all the time.
Yeah.
So just having that type of energy, seeing that, him going out and, trying to provide for his family and never let nothing come between that. Just that image alone that's gonna put in the psyche of a child, especially a young man or a boy, to become a man.
For sure.
So just seeing my pops grinding and being a man, that was enough for me to become one.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Now here it is. You doing sports.
Yeah.
Right. You said basketball. Was that? Do you consider that your first love?
Yeah. B-ball for sure.
What introduced you to that? Why not football?
My bros were stars. Like, I had a brother that was on the verge of going pro, top in Texas, top recruit in Texas, went to Texas Tech. Could have went anywhere in the country, went to Texas Tech. Situation happened down there. It didn't happen. But growing up, he was always, so this time he might still got probably the fastest. He ran track too.
Yeah.
Probably one of the fastest 40 times in Texas, which is a 4.26.
Whoa.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's to this day. Anyway, he always had a light. He always had a light that was just big in track and football. And even though that was my brother and I loved him, we were still kind of competitive in our household. So I took basketball because I felt like this was a light that I can go shine in. You know what I'm saying? Because my brother, I would have had to be exactly like him or better to get the type of, you know what I'm saying, the love that shit he was getting. So I was just like, fuck it, I'm a hoop. You know what I'm saying? And that's what really started me. But when I started hooping, I just fell in love with it, and I liked it more than any other sport. So I just stuck with that.
So you ball out hooping, you do your thing, and you end up going to college from basketball, right?
Yeah. I was going down to PV to hoop, but by the time I got up down there, shit, I was already engulfed with the rap. And I started rapping in high school.
Okay.
So I had already had my rap shit moving by the time I went out there. And I fell in love with once I fell in love with music, it kind of took over. And it was more of a situation where I felt like I had more control over my destiny with music than sports, because sports it's political.
Yeah.
You got to end up in the right systems. You know what I'm saying? You got to go the right routes. You got to right coaching. Everything got to happen on point. You can't get hurt at a certain time. All type of things can derail your shit. You feel me? And then, and I was realistic. I felt like it don't matter. I can go down here and average 40 points at PV. It's going to be hard for me to make it to the league going from PV. So I already had a fan base rapping. I felt like I could control that. I was already making money off music. I was already selling CDs and, able to take care of myself from music in high school, coming and going to PV. So the way I look at it, I'm like, I'm already got real traction that I can, I can gauge, I can control and I can expand on this. So the combination of that love and having that feel like I had control over my destiny, I chose music.
Got you. So take me to the journey of music, man. Like when did you start getting into rapping?
Actually doing it, high school, probably about freshman year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Somewhere around that time. I always had a love for rap, a love for music, but like I tell everybody, I wasn't influenced to jump off the porch and actually do it until I saw people around me doing it and having success. So the Texas movement influenced me.
Okay.
So,
This is what year?
This is when I started rapping?
Yeah.
This probably I started rapping like 03.
Okay.
02, yeah.
So this is when Mike Jones.
Yeah. So the Swisher House move, Lil Flip. When Lil Flip came on the scene, that's what made me tie all the way into the Texas movement.
Got you.
See, I was obviously I listened to UGK. My big brothers now, that was what they was on. So obviously I was influenced by UGK through them. But what really grabbed me is when I was introduced to Lil Flip by my big bros, and I gravitated to it. And then from Lil Flip, you had the Swisher House movement.
Yeah.
And then from the Swisher House movement, you had the DSR movement. The DSR movement was here in Dallas. So when the DSR movement happened, that's when I saw it in my backyard. You feel me? I knew Tum Tum and other members that was on the DSR, and I would see them around. So to actually be in love with the Texas movement and then start seeing these actual people in real life and then they're in their backyard and they having success, that's what made me jump off the porch and actually start rapping, because I'm like, okay, this shit really doable. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can actually, nigga, we can really start making mixtapes and get our own traction because this nigga's in the city doing it now. That's how I looked at it.
Okay, so here it is. You jump off the porch to rapping. Because a lot of people rap, you know what I'm saying? Especially in our community, that's kind of a staple. Mm-hmm. For you, what was that one moment that you realized like you was good and your fan base started to build?
The first song I ever did and put out was it was on a Nuck If You Butt beat. Mm. And it was a song called 75134. That was the area code in U.S. Homes in Lancaster. And it was just like, I at this time I was on the basketball team. I was like captain. I had a whole lot of influence. So we used to run out to music anyway. But long story short, I had dropped like a little mini mixtape. I didn't even drop a mixtape. It was just a disc with some songs on there. And that song blew up like around the area. You know what I'm saying? So it was like I came out the gate making a mini hit. You know what I'm saying? So I had already had a fan base from people following me for sports, for basketball anyway. So it was easy to convert those fans or those people to music because they were just fucking with me anyway. And then the song was something that they loved. And then we ran out to it and it used to get popping at the games. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a month or two later, I ended up dropping like a little mixtape, or what I call a mixtape. And when I started selling the CDs and people was buying them $5, $10, $3, $7, whatever they was paying for them, that's when I knew like, oh, this shit real. Like when it was one thing to see people turning up to your music, riding in the car, listening to it. But it's another thing when niggas buying your shit. And I didn't give a fuck if it was for $2, $3. They was buying them, and that's when I knew it was real. And that's when I was like, from that moment on, that's when in my mind I started transforming into a rapper in my mind. Like, oh, I'm finna do this for real because I know if I can do this at this level, if I really turn up and go in on it, I could take this to a whole nother level. So I started off with the confidence. Like, I just believed in myself from the jump. Like, I was like that in sports too. I always had a real big belief in anything that once I stepped into it.
How did you start off with the name Dorrough as your rap name?
So Dorrough, yes. So my bro was named, everybody called my big bro Dorrough. You know what I'm saying? Because he was known for sports. In Texas, I'm pretty sure it's like other places too, but in Texas, in sports, you was always known by your first initial and last name. So D Dorrough was me, you know. Gotcha. Coach always called it, no matter what sport, that's just like a Texas thing. So, and then if you was popping in sports, you're gonna be known for that. Well, my big bro had that name. Everybody knew him. You know what I'm saying? That's that. So when I came on the scene, just in sports, everybody knew me as Lil Dorrough. You know what I'm saying? That's what they called me because they knew about him. And then once I got popping in basketball, the people who didn't know me, they just knew me by my first initial last name because once again, that's a sports thing. Yeah. So then when I started rapping, it was different names, but like it just, everybody had already knew me. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't make no sense to me to come to the same, because I started when I rapped, I didn't go out. I went to everything that was around me first.
Makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? So it didn't make sense in my mind to try and introduce them to a name. You know what I'm saying? Everybody already knew me for who I was. And then, so I stuck with it from the jump. Okay.
So here it is. Now you make it to PV.
Yeah.
I hear you was always shouting out a group, Primetime Click.
Primetime Click.
Did this start in high school, or is this something that came together at PV?
That's something I started at PV. You know what I'm saying? With all my homies. That was so at PV, especially at that time, it was Dallas, Houston, but at this time it was Dallas versus Houston. So it was like a real, it was a lot of tension in that area at PV. But I was the first to go down there, and I had homies from the H and I had homies from Dallas. So I combined like my homies from the H with my homies from Dallas, and that's how I came up with Primetime Click. So it was just my homies who was just my homies that I became cool with, and we was all rapping.
Yeah.
But few of them was from Houston and a few of them was from Dallas, and that's what made it a unique thing at PV because we was the only ones moving around like that. Everybody else, you was either fucking with Dallas or Houston. It was just, that's how the campus was. It was real divided like that. And you had people that fuck with each other, but say you go to a party, you gonna have Dallas on one side and Houston niggas on one side, wherever they from. Now this, niggas would be all parts from the Dallas and all, but at PV niggas clicked up because you also had people coming from the H and people coming from the city that would just come on and loiter around the schools and shit. So it was like that type energy. You know what I'm saying? But shit, I was like, nigga, I fuck with I was going to Houston a lot anyway once I got down to PV, moving my music and shit. So I'm like, shit, nigga, the niggas I fuck with from the H, they cool. So we formed Primetime Click. I formed it and you know, it got popping amongst PV first, and then it ended up spreading out.
Got you. So here it is. You leave high school. You got this buzz that you done build home and around the city. Did any of that carry over to PV, or did you kind of have to start that grind over again to build your name at PV?
Yeah, I had to start over because once I got to PV, like I didn't know nobody. It may be like one or two people that I knew from Dallas that was at PV. Like when I got down there, like I remember how I felt. I felt naked. Like I felt like you know what I'm saying? It was like you go leave home, you the man. Everybody know you from sports and they know you from rapping. Boom, I get out here, nigga, it's a fresh slate. But I kind of liked it there too. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I saw what PV was. I saw that it was a ground that could be used for. Shit, I had already saw the vision when I got out there. So, yeah, I saw it like that, and I had to start over, you know, from jump.
Most people who, when they got a talent, especially if it's in high school, they tend to not go to college and pursue music wholeheartedly. Why did you take the college road? Why didn't you just forego college and go straight into the music from high school?
I went to freshman orientation. I remember I actually wasn't. I wasn't gonna go to PV at first, even to go to hoop, because by this time this summer going into, you know, when you make the transition from high school after you graduate, going into that, like my mixtapes at that time was moving around, so I was making a lot of money like that. You know when you 17, 18, and you start touching some money like that you're making yourself. Everything is a lot of money, so it don't even matter if it's a few $100s. Like, so in my mind, I'm just like, this one I'm for to do. I'm for to stay in Dallas. So my mama was like, she was like, freshman had an orientation, this, and that. And you know what I'm saying? You know, you can go out there, check out the school. And, you know, I was going to already go down there. I was just going to go down there and go hoop and get straight to that when I was ready to do that. So I ended up going down there early, went to the orientation. When I got down there, I didn't even know the dynamics of colleges and how it really was. So I didn't know it was a 7-to-1, like 7 females to 1 dude type situation. So when I saw that in real life, and I saw that it was a party, it was the first day orientation, it was a party on the campus, and it was a party that night. And it was real party. So when I saw that, and I had already been hearing about PV being this party school, so when y'all saw it in person, I was like, oh shit, there's no way I'm not gonna not take advantage of this. Yeah. So I already saw the market. I was just like, nigga, I'm a rapper. I'm finna get everybody here. They either from Houston, Dallas, a lot of people from Louisiana, they from all the different places in Texas, and then you got this whole little region of people in one spot. So the way I looked at it, like, if I go down here and take this shit over as far as getting my music out and motherfuckers fucking with my shit like they is back home, it's gonna be a wrap. You get what I'm saying? So I saw that from day one, literally. And then I went back to the crib. I took the money that I was making. I pressed up a whole lot of CDs and went right back to PV and just got the flooding from day one, literally. You know what I'm saying? So I would say within that first semester, I had built my name up, like, as far as motherfuckers, you know, knowing who I was on the rap, jamming a mixtape, and I was selling CDs out there. So that's how I really just, you know, started.
Now, what year did you get to PV?
05.
05.
Yeah.
So this is kind of Tum Tum Caprice classic.
Oh yeah, Tum Tum was on fire.
Going crazy. I never heard of DSR, but when I was in college at Bowling Green, I remember seeing Tum Tum. I want to say he was on BET.
Yeah, Tum Tum, yeah.
That's when I saw the what is it called? The shag.
Yeah.
I was because it was like, is this nigga picking the back of his head?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Tum put the shag on the map.
Yeah, so I remember that. When did you see the boogie movement start coming along?
That started happening like 07. The beginning of that started happening like in 07.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So that kind of happened when I got to PV, Tum Tum was on fire. You know what I'm saying? At parties, all you heard was Tum Tum and Lil Wayne. That's all you heard at parties and shit. Like, as far as just, I mean, then you hear whatever hits that was out, but like, as far as just on fire, Tum Tum, you know, was on fire then. And then probably like within a couple. Then I started building my name and everything down there. And then the boogie movement started happening like in 07. That's when it started coming on a rise. I want to say the Dougie came out in the beginning of the boogie movement was like Lil Sean, Check Out My Lean. You had Fat Pimp with the Rack Daddy and My Dougie. Them like the songs that really kicked it off. Trap Stars, the Get It Bitch record.
Yeah.
That started kicking off, like, you know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what kicked it off. And I want to say this is like 07. But, you know, I would say it really took off and got big in 08.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That was probably like...
Soulja Boy era.
Yeah. So, Tom Soulja Boy and Lil Wayne, that's that era before, like right before I came on the scene. That was the energy.
So here it is, you and a PV, you put together a Primetime Click.
Yeah.
You rapping on campus, making movement. What was the song that ended up breaking you at PV?
Man, it was so I was known at PV for mixtapes first.
Okay.
I was a mixtape rapper. I would drop a lot of mixtapes with Primetime Click, with DJ Merc, Mr. Rogers, and I got popping as a mixtape rapper first. So everybody was literally jamming my shit at PV mixtape wise. Now I didn't have a record that was popping like that, so I wasn't getting booked for like shows yet. Like nowhere really, but everybody was listening to my music. I wasn't getting booked for no shows. Then somewhere around that time, I want to say somewhere around that 07 time, it was a concert that happened at PV, and I remember it was Lil Will, Lil Shine, Fat Pimp, and somebody else, and they had the one records at that time, Rag Daddy, the records they had, My Dougie, all that. And in my mind, I was just like, damn, nigga, I got like 6 mixtapes popping around this bitch, but like these niggas got paid to come out here to do one song, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I was on the same show too, but I was on there doing mixtape records. I had a song called I'm From Dallas that was on that little Gorilla Zoe Hood nigga beat that was ringing off, so I performed that. And then we had a song called Do the Muscle, Primetime Click, that shit was moving. But like, I was just like, damn, I got all these mixtapes, but I ain't getting no paid shows. So that when I seen that concert, that's what made me come back to the drawing board and be like, I got to figure out something else. Like, okay, I can do this mixtape shit and this rapping shit, but nigga, I'm trying to get paid now. I'm trying to move around and do shows. So then right after that, that's when I came back to the table. I ended up getting a shot to Stunt Doja and Mr. Rogers. And then I went down to the H, got a beat from them, came back to PV and wrote Walk That Walk.
Gotcha. So take me to the day of writing Walk That Walk. How did you come up with the concept of the song?
Shit, man, being at PV, seeing them sororities strutting. I knew that if I wanted to get my shit popping at PV, I needed them sororities to be strutting my shit. Because when they would be at the hump days and the parties and shit strutting, they had everybody's attention. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of baddies out there. So I was just like, I need to make something that they gonna fuck with. You know what I'm saying? And that's when I came up with the Walk That Walk concept. I was like, I got to make something. I had them in mind when I made that record. And that was the first time I sat down and really strategically made a single, or what I was calling a single at that time. And that's when I learned and taught myself how to do that format.
So here it is, Walk That Walk, boom. How fast did it take, how long did it take for it to just catch fire on campus?
It caught fire on campus pretty fast, like, cause I was already hot. You know what I'm saying? And my DJ was one of the most popular DJs on campus. And then there was so my DJ, you had 2 DJs. At this time, you had Mr. Rogers and DJ Merc. DJ Merc was my DJ, and that was with my camp and everything. So, you know, he was definitely gonna run my shit, and he was doing half the parties, and Mr. Rogers was doing the other half. Now, Walk That Walk was a Mr. Rogers beat. You know what I'm saying? So Mr. Rogers, so they both, you know what I'm saying, had invested interest in it. Plus, I was already hot. Plus, the song was hard. So it took off on PV campus pretty fast, and it was rocking. I would say probably like within a month, that shit was moving out. It was in every party, and you talking about parties down there every night, and within a month. But it took a while for it to start getting outside of PV. But what happened was, I ended up getting on. We ended up doing the Halle Berry song. While we was at PV. And Halle Berry took off way faster than Walk That Walk. Walk That Walk came out first, and it was moving. So it was kind of like moving like this. Boom, boom, boom. And I was hot. Superstar came and got me for the Halle Berry. We did the Halle Berry, and that shit, Halle Berry blew up like this. Like, I'm talking about, like, soon as we put that bitch out, that shit, it blew up at PV. probably within a couple weeks. And then it was moving around the state, and then it was back in Dallas, and it was on the radio within like maybe 2 months, because I was shooting back to Dallas, and I was from Monday to Monday, I was in the clubs breaking that record, Walk That Walk, and other stuff I had on mixtape. Because this now, Walk That Walk did start getting me shows. It started spreading me out a little bit, and then Halle Berry came and just blew the fuck up. And so I had 2 records moving at the same time. It started with them 2. Then I was doing shows everywhere in the whole region.
It was crazy preparing for this interview when I was, doing my research. I had no clue that Halle Berry was your record first.
Yeah, for sure. And
I guess because since I'm up north, the push that got behind Hurricane Chris with Halle Berry, that's how probably why I heard it first. If I was probably down here, I would have heard yours.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Because it was already... Before Hurricane got on, it was already huge in Texas and Louisiana, the whole region. It was already It was already on radio by then. Because then you had to get something ringing in the clubs first for a long time before you can hit radio. Radio was the pinnacle. But by this time, it was already on Houston radio, Dallas radio, Austin, Killeen, everywhere in Texas, Oklahoma. It was already a regional hit. You get what I'm saying? Before Hurricane Chris came in, and they came and bought the records and did what they did with it.
So Superstar brought you Halle Berry.
Yeah, Superstar was in Primetime Click. That was Primetime Click. He was a producer in Primetime Click. Yeah. So that was.
Now is that him on the hook, or is that you on the hook?
That's him on the hook, and that's me. On the clean version with the ad libs, I'm in between on that part. But that's Superstar on the hook.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here it is. You got Motion. Superstar get approached from a deal from Playing Skills.
Mm-hmm.
Well, y'all both got approached.
Yeah.
You turned it down.
Yeah.
He took it. Why did you turn down that deal? What was the deal offer?
It wasn't offering nothing that I wasn't already getting from shows. It wasn't enough money, and it wasn't enough motion that shout out to Playing Skills. They had motion. Don't get me wrong. Like, they were doing some big shit, and, still is to this day. But it just didn't make sense. They was producers. They was artists, producers. I never believed in the concept of being an artist and signing to another artist, especially if the artist, like, you have to be an artist that's 100% out and you focus on that. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't see why it made sense to do that. But, Superstar was in a different predicament where he was a little more anxious. And see, I had Walk That Walk, so I was getting shows already, so I was getting paid. So the little bread that was thrown away, it wasn't enough to move me at all, because I'm getting this in shows, and the record is already this big, and I know we can get a bigger deal than this because of the record. But Superstar was I guess he was in a different situation where, long story short, we was young. I guess bro needed the situation to get his motion going.
Yeah.
So he was more anxious, and so when he signed the deal, it created the conflict, because I'm on the record. He signed the deal. I didn't sign the deal, and that's where the conflict started.
So here it is with you and Superstar. Him signing that deal, did it fracture your relationship as friends?
Yeah and no. But yeah, it did actually, because it was other middlemen that was in between the situation that really caused that to happen. Mm. You feel me? And I fell out with that individual, and that individual was close with Superstar, so it ended up dividing us for sure. You know what I'm saying? Because I had to talk with Superstar before it happened. I basically told him, like, bro, like, don't do the deal, but the record, we finna take this up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And once they end up making the decision that they end up making, we was divided for a minute.
So what was the story you was told about the record once Hurricane Chris Camp reached out for some music? Like, what story you was told, how Hurricane ended up with the Halle Berry song?
Yeah, so what happened was Playing Skills did the deal with Superstar, and I didn't do the deal. So then when they didn't do the deal, they was upset about it, and they created a remix first. The remix, they threw, what happened was they ended up throwing Tom Tom and Hurricane Chris on the remix of the song. Mm. So they made a remix first, and then they tried to push that out. At this time, you had the Definition DJs in Dallas. They was running the whole scene when it came to music, and they was the one running. You had to go through the Definition DJs to get your shit popping.
Got you.
I had already been grinding, and I was the reason that the record was out there. So this Definition DJs and even the Go DJs too in Houston, and some was in Dallas. Those two coalitions knew that, okay, Dorrough broke this record. He was the one that, did that. So when they saw what happened and they were trying to run this remix, they didn't support it. They were just like, they never had, at this time in Dallas, they had never saw Superstar. I was the one running it through the city, blowing it up. And even, so they had never saw him. So they just like, okay, why Dorrough took off the song? And he was the one that introduced us to the song and was the one pushing it and how we even know about it. So when that happened, they just completely stopped supporting the record and the record died. So that remix didn't work. Then Playing Scales and them had to come back to the drawing board because you had this big record on radio that's going up like this and it's charting. Then all of a sudden it stopped. Yeah. And it's stopping in a major market, which is Dallas and Houston and Texas, basically. So obviously they done bought the record and did this. Now they had to make an audible. So then they went to Hurricane Chris Camp, Polo Grounds, and then they made a deal with them to give it to Hurricane Chris for a single. That's what they did. You feel me? So it never was directly between me, Superstar, Hurricane Chris. It was our middleman that ended up making these situations. Then it created some tension / beef at that time. But I ended up being good though on that because we was already paperwork then. Me, Q-Spit, and it was already paperwork. So when they end up doing a deal and doing that, I still, to this day, get residuals from that. You know what I'm saying? So I ended up shaking. Now, it was hard. I was pissed at first because I knew how much grind I had put into it.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like,
I had put all the energy behind it.
When you heard the remix, I'm quite sure somebody from Definition DJ like, hey, this dude up here pushing this version of a record and you off of it. How did you find out when you was taking off the song? And like, what was your mental state at that time?
Shit, I was hot, bro. That was probably the only time that I can ever think of in my career where I was just like, bro, like I ain't gonna say I definitely wasn't on no giving up type shit, but I felt because I knew how much I had put into that record and how much I was, you know what I'm saying? And I knew what that record was for to do. I knew it was at the potential where that would have changed a whole lot of shit. That would even change, like I ended up getting a good deal, but that would have changed even the type of deal. Yeah. And I knew all that type stuff. And then I remember I had never performed at K104 Summer Jam. And I was supposed to perform at Summer Jam, and it was right when it was happening. And they went and went on the stage and performed and had somebody else that was just in Superstar Camp, one of his homies or something, perform my part on the song. Yeah. So it was a whole lot of shicey shit going on like that. So I was hot, bro. Like, I was hot. I just remember being real hot, and I was real vocal about it. But at the same time, I had Walk That Walk movie. So Walk That Walk was doing this. Halle Berry started, and that shit just shot up. But Walk That Walk kept doing this. Yeah. And at some point, it got to that point, and then I was just doing a whole lot of shows, and I was getting a lot of exposure. So it made me be able to take it, take my mind off of it. Then I got back into mixtape mode. And then I got back to working,
Okay, so here it is. That's that issue. Now, how bad, what was your words with Hurricane Chris as far as beef-wise? Like, because I don't ever remember a Hurricane Chris Dorrough diss track. Yeah. So is it just more so?
Nah, it started off, Hurricane Chris went on some interview somewhere. I think he was in New York or something. And they brought up the situation, and then that nigga just was like, fuck Dorrough, this, and that in the interview. And the interview had went viral at the time between Twitter and all that type shit and just on radios and everything had went viral. That's where it started. Then, then I went in the interview and said something. So it was mainly like a radio interview type thing. And then it ended up getting to a point where we saw each other one time in Baton Rouge. We was on a radio show together. Like, it was a big festival, so it was a lot of artists. But I was performing, Hurricane Chris was on there, and I went on, I think I went on right before him. Anyway, I went on there and I performed Halle Berry. I didn't give a fuck. And I performed Halle Berry, and like right in the middle of it, right after I got done with my verse, but kind of in the middle, he had somebody that was a DJ that came and stopped my show set. So when they stopped my show set, my DJ got on and started the record back up, and then we ended up finishing the show set. And then right after that, me and him went to the back, like our accounts went to the back, and I had some words for Hurricane Chris, but Bebe was there. Shout out to Bebe, because Bebe mediated the whole situation. Like, if Bebe wasn't there, and that was the first time I seen Hurricane Chris in person, I was like, this nigga smile, bro. I'm for the still off on this nigga, you know what I'm saying? But we end up, bro, having words, bro, baby mediated. And then I realized that shit, it won't even work not getting the bag because we almost lost a check for that night, you know what I'm saying? And then my records was already hot. So by this time I had Ice Cream Paint Job. See, first when the beef started, I didn't have Ice Cream Paint Job. So I just had Walk That Walk. Ice Cream Paint Job took off. Now my shit, I got a whole lot of shit moving. So in my mind, I'm like, nigga, I got motion right now. I ain't really tripping like that, but I'm still gonna have words. Baby mediate the situation. Shit died down, and then, you know, it's funny to talk about it now because me and homie cool now. You know, we done seen each other a million times, you know, just on some random shit and talked about it, and it ain't no beef. I think the problem was when we first started, we was all coming up. So, you know, when you ain't got nothing going and no motion, anything you attached to, you know, you need that. You want that. So, you know, once we got past that and started having success, we looked at the situation as a smaller situation, or we looked at it for what it was. I was able to see that, okay, this don't got shit to do with Hurricane Chris or Superstar Really. It was some niggas came in and tried to make a business move and they did it the wrong way. It could have easily been done the right way. Once I was able to mature and see that, then that's when it wasn't no problem no more. And I realized that shit, that's what taught me. One thing about that Halle Berry situation, it taught me about the industry. It taught me how to handle business. It taught me how bad business can go. It taught me how if you make the wrong type of move with your record or some shit on the business side, shit can go all the way left. Yeah. So I learned everything from that situation. You get what I'm saying? So that's how I ran with it at the end of the day.
Who version of Halle Berry is better?
The original, my version for sure, 1,000%. Everybody in Texas will tell you that.
Yeah. See, what about outside of Texas?
They only know that. That's true. That's true. Well, no. When you talk about the region, so when you talk about Oklahoma and Kansas, Mississippi, and even Louisiana, it's the same thing. But anybody who was introduced to it from the Hurricane Chris version, of course, because that's just how, you know, that's how your mind works. Yeah. You know, so but nah, you know.
Okay. So it is.
Shout out to Superstar, though. Shout out to Superstar. Shout out to Hurricane Chris, man. They working, they got new music and everything.
What's your situation, what's your relationship like with Superstar now?
Man, it's crazy. We just did a show in Tulsa, Oklahoma a month ago.
Okay.
And it was the first time we performed a song together. You know what I'm saying?
That's dope.
Yeah, first time we performed a song together again. And he sent me a beat that I'm still supposed to be hopping on right now because he was always a producer. When he was in Primetime Click, that's what he was. He was a producer. He always made hard-ass beat, hard concepts, and he could rap and make dope songs. So we kind of got back to working, even though I haven't done the record yet. He already sent me the record that I'm going to hop on. So we got back in that mode, and this was just a month ago.
Okay, so it is now Ice Cream Paint Job. Ice Cream Paint Job to me, and I was debating this with Terry the other day. I said Ice Cream Paint Job is a national hit. That's not a Texas song. And he was like, what you mean? I said, it don't have a Texas bounce. It got like and I think maybe you said this on the interview, but it got more of a West Coast bounce. It got more of the hyphy kind of, it don't have that Texas traditional sound to me. Facts. Take me through that record doing Ice Cream Paint Job and how that came about.
So after the Halle Berry situation happened, I got back to work in my mind. I was like, man, let me get back to grind. Because I knew even though Walk That Walk was still climbing, I'm like, nigga, at the end of the day, bro, I'm a rapper. I can make records. So I got back in the lab and I started working on this mixtape. And Ice Cream Paint Job just happened to be on this mixtape. And it was really kind of me experiment because, like you said, and especially at this time, the tempo of Texas was not at 90 BPMs. Everything was slow. It was 75 and down. Anything that was over that, it was hard to get in the clubs. It just was. So I didn't even think in my mind that, okay, there's some shit that Texas was going to fuck with, but I'm working on this mixtape, and I always liked experimenting. I always liked the West Coast beats. I used to rap on all the little beats that was coming at the time. Shit, motherfuckers used to come out, I rap on the West Coast beats, but that'll be for my own pleasure and my own, you know, experimentation as a rapper, and I just throw them on mixtape. Ice Cream Paint Job was one of them type records for me. And what happened was I worked on this mixtape and I started throwing the records out and I put it on MySpace. MySpace was popping at that time. So I was one of the most, you had Soulja Boy, you had another nigga, I can't think who the second nigga was that was big on MySpace, and then you had me. Because of Walk That Walk and Halle Berry, them songs was like huge on MySpace. So it made me like the number 3 artist on MySpace after them 2 niggas. So I had a lot of reach. Everybody was coming on my page, this and that. So long story short, when I was working on this mixtape, I put a fresh new set of songs on there, and Ice Cream Paint Job was one of them songs. And like a DJ from the Bay Area had took it out of my MySpace. He played it out there, and he blew it. He was on the radio. He was in the clubs, and he blew it up literally from my MySpace page, and blew it up out there. He was already trying to like walk that walk out there, but he was like, they fucking with it, but it's slow. You know what I'm saying? Because it was a different. So when I put up Ice Cream Paint Job, he was like, oh shit, there's some shit that I know they gonna fuck with. And he ended up just basically doing that, and it blew up in the Bay Area. Next thing you know, I'm getting shows and calls from out there, and I'm going out there to Cali. You know what I'm saying? And it turned into a California story first. It wasn't even in Texas then. It never did blow up in Texas first. It blew up all over Cali first, and it was at the same time when I was doing my deal, and I ended up doing the deal, and before I did the deal, the song just blew up in Cali. Mm-hmm. Then it started spreading to Texas. And then when I did the deal, worldwide.
So you end up starting with Koch, E1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Signing that deal, why was it important to sign that deal? Because here it is, a song pretty much you broke independently.
Mm-hmm.
What made you go to a record label and get a deal, and how did that end up helping you? What benefit was it for you?
Well, it was one thing to be regional and starting to, expound into these different territories, but there's another thing where, I'm trying to be worldwide and international. You feel me? Like, it was a situation where I knew that I just knew how far I could get with a record.
Yeah.
Because I learned from Walk That Walk and Halle Berry, but especially Walk That Walk. Walk That Walk was on fire. It was just like, and I knew I had put everything I could put in there, every dollar, made every move, and it was huge, but it was only so big. I couldn't get it past that. So that's when I started learning that, okay, you got to have a label to get it to a certain level.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what it was. It was just like, well, okay, I know I could break my own records. I can get shit popping regionally. I can get it popping in Texas. But shit, how I'm gonna get to New York? How I'm gonna get to these other places? You know what I'm saying? Because I hadn't built out there yet. Yeah. So E1 came with the deal. They was Koch, and that was the reason, because I basically I knew I had tapped out on everything I could do, and I wanted to go bigger.
Were you courted by other labels? What made you choose them?
Yeah, I was courted shit. Everybody, Sony, Universal, I remember Young Jock tried to sign me at that time. He had the swag team because he had signed GS Boys, Asylum, pretty much every label. But Koch was the only one that came with the album deals. Everybody else was trying to start me off with single deals, and I think Universal, somebody came with like maybe one album deal, but E1 Koch came with the bigger deal, the bigger bag.
Gotcha.
And they was an independent. So I had more freedom with it. So when I got with Koch, it's like playing on a team. Say you can go play with an all-star team and you get some playing time, or you go play on a team that's building up and you can go be a star player over there.
Yeah. That's
the type of situation E1 was. They was coming with the bag, the more albums, and I can go over there and do my thing.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. So it was just like, I'd rather go with this deal.
So Ice Cream Paint Job, I remember that song coming out. That boy was going stupid.
Yeah.
Like, being up north, especially Detroit, car shows is our thing. So you couldn't have a car show without Ice Cream Paint Job. I'm quite sure to this day, if you go to a Rick Ross or a DJ Envy car show, that Ice Cream Paint Job has to come on. Like, you can't have a car show without that song.
Thanks.
Are you able to still tour off that song?
Oh yeah. Shit, man. That song blowing up right now. That TikTok. Song is TikTok, sports arenas. We was watching a baseball game. They played, bro. That song is bigger now than it was then, as far as when you're talking about like how much reach it got. On TikTok, it probably blow up every week in a different kind of TikTok. That will get long, will get big. Long will walk that walk. They keep blowing up. So yeah, I done toured outside the country, Japan, everywhere. I probably got about 20, 30 dates right now that's booked for this year. That's I mean, when I'm booked and touring, it's a combination of everything.
Yeah.
But that record definitely helps, because it get me in different spaces where other records don't get me.
Do you ever get tired of performing that record?
Oh yeah, sometimes for sure. Like, sometimes I'm going through the motions if I'm booked and then it's I'm doing that song, but in the mix of my whole show set, nah, it's lit because I got an hour-long show set for my bigger shows, 45 to an hour, and that's mixed in there. Sometimes it's in the middle, sometimes I end it, depending on where I'm at and what the vibe is. So when it's mixed in with my whole show set, then it's perfect because it's a time where I can bring the energy a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I'm booked, and it was a time where when I was just booked and I was going everywhere doing it, I had got burnt out on it for a minute.
Got you.
Yeah, but I done came back around to where, it's a blessing at the end of the day to have what they call a classic record,
So here it is, you went from Walk That Walk, Halle Berry, Ice Cream Paint Job, and then you come back with another banger, Get Big.
Yeah.
What was that song? How fast did that pop? And was it able to move a lot faster now that you got a deal?
Well, I had a lot of motion and I had the deal, but the crazy thing about that song is that didn't even it didn't pop from E1 because what happened was I put out my first album, they were still focusing on that, and in my mind, I went back to mixtape rapper mode.
Yeah.
I linked with DJ Drummer. Me and DJ Drummer met in California, and we started talking about doing Gangsta Grills.
Okay.
And I ended up doing the Gangsta Grills with DJ Drummer because All-Star Weekend was coming to Dallas that year next, and we were just like, shit, we need to drop something during that time. We did the Gangsta Grills. On that Gangsta Grill, Get Big was just one of the songs on the mixtape. It was like number 3, number 4 on that mixtape. And that mixtape went crazy. I had dropped it in like February, like 2010 type shit around there. And that song just went crazy from that mixtape.
Yeah.
And it blew up from the mixtape because I had put a lot of money in the streets and put it out, and it just blew up. And next thing you know, all the DJs was asking for that. People was playing it. And then I went back and sat down with E1 to speed up the process to put out the next album, because back then and even now, but especially then, you had to get a single popping for them to put your album out. So when they got popping and they started seeing that happen on like the live mixtapes and all that, the way the motion, they were just like, well, we need to come back to the table. And then they said this record is popping. I ended up going to put like another verse on there because it was just like, it was rough mix. It was 2 verses. At that time on songs, you had 3 verses. Yeah. The song needed to be a little longer, so I made the song a little better. And they came to the table. We ended up doing a second deal just from that record. So the mixtape shit always was my route. It always got shit popping for me. So in my mind, they didn't want me to put out mixtapes, but in my mind, I'm just like, this is who I am as a rapper. And then we put out that mixtape and that shit got popping, Get Big got popping, and then I end up putting out the second album after that, Woody one. They end up taking it.
Now here it is back home, you're 2010. Well, let's back up a little bit. You come back to the crib and you try to get back to your city, you end up signing Young Nation.
Yeah.
This is what year when you signed Young Nation?
I want to say this was like 11.
11.
Yeah, I want to say this is 11.
Because to me, this is now kind of the decline of the boogie movement.
It's
kind of coming down a little bit. And I don't know if you saw it, but I had a chance to interview K. Bezo.
Nah, I ain't see it, but shout out to K. Bezo because I know he had a lot to do with the Nation movement.
Yeah, and so when I interviewed K. Bezo, he said when he found out you signed Young Nation, he was like, he was out his body. He was hot.
Yeah.
He was like, man, I was riding around. If I would have saw Dorrough, if I would have saw B. Reed, and them niggas, he was just pretty much saying he was going to be on y'all head. He said the police was going to have to dump him on his head. He was hot.
It would have been hard at that time because we moving a certain way. We was moving away a certain way around that time. Yeah. But nah, when I got Nation, I didn't even know nothing about the. I had to find out the research about the K. Bezo. But when Young Nation was introduced to me by Q Smith, shout out to Q Smith. They was already Young Nation. They was already a pair. They was already, because from my knowledge, it was a movement. Think of what, Thug Bout Nation or something. So it was all of them together, right?
Yeah.
And then B. Reed and Fame paired off and became Young Nation.
Yeah.
By the time I got them, they was in the beginning stages of that. So my mind is on some, like, I'm moving around. 2 niggas come to my doorstep from Q Smith, and they some young niggas still in high school, and they just got some little fly lingo. And Q Smith telling me how dope they are. and I got a studio in my condo. I bring them in, and they go into the studio and they make records after records, and I hear how dope they are.
Yeah.
I'm inspired by that. I don't care about none of the other stuff because it ain't like nobody had paperwork and this and that. People move a certain way all the time, but I had never met like K-Bezo or none of them. I ain't know none of them about the story. I just know two dope niggas that Q Smith been telling me about for a minute.
Yeah.
Showed up my doorstep and they was actually dope. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like most of the time I didn't think niggas was like that, and that's where we started our relationship from that moment.
Got you. Now, I saw Say Cheese interview with Young Nation, and they was talking about the condo and the cars. Like, you just gave them the condo.
Yeah.
You gave them a bunch of jewelry.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff. Did you really give them the condo? It was just like, bro, I'm never here, so y'all niggas can stay.
It started off as I'm never here. You know what I'm saying? Because once they came in, they pretty much lived there anyway. I was on the road 6 days out the week.
Got you.
I was touring crazy. 5 days on a slow week, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it started off with them just being there, recording, and just kind of living there anyway. Then as as shit got more crazy, I gave them the condo, because I ended up, moving and doing a whole bunch of other stuff, and they was working. See, it wasn't really like because I saw what they was doing with it.
Yeah.
They was using the condo better than I was. They was having more fun in it because I couldn't be there alone. And they was actually, I had a studio set up. They used that studio way more than I did. Cause see, I'm a different type of artist. Like I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna write a few songs. I'm gonna go into the studio, I'm gonna record them. Then I'm gonna chill, and then I'm gonna come back and do that. They just gonna be in that bitch all day, all night, all day, all night, every day, just recording all type of shit. So when I seen that they had that type of work ethic, I was like, shit, I'm getting more for my dollar by letting them use this studio and having this spot.
Yeah.
Then them, putting them out, because at this time they still building up. They ain't Young Nation yet. So, they would have been going back to their mama crib and all that. I'm like, I'm getting more for my dollar by letting them be here. So yeah, I gave them a condo. They made use of it.
What do you think happened that it didn't work out, that you weren't able to take them to the heights? Because they had motion.
Yeah.
But what was it that handicapped you or kept you from elevating their career to a nationwide as you are?
Well, what really happened was, in the moment where they was at they peak, where it was supposed to go from here to there.
Yeah.
See, it was me, it was DJ Merc, and it was Q Smith. Q Smith and Merc was handling Nation as far as on the business side, and I was doing a lot of stuff on the business side, but I was handling them like, these niggas was like my little brothers, so I had to handle them a whole different kind of way. So I needed Q Smith and Merc to do what they was doing. But at that time, Nation was peaking, and it was a point where I was telling, shout out to Q Smith and Merc, but I was telling them, I'm like, we need to hold on a little more so we can get that big deal for them. I saw Interscope. I saw the way they were, I was like, they got to be branded a certain type of way, like a Ray Shrimmer, like Amigos. But E1 was shooting all type of shit at them, and Merc and Q Smith and them wanted to make that move too quick. So what happened was they ended up doing the E1 deal, the Kachi deal worked for me and the type of artist I was. I knew that wasn't the type of situation that was going to be best for Young Nation, because the type of brand they had, they needed that commercial. They needed something way, because I know how to take an independent deal, and I can make that major because of how I'm moving anyway, and I put my own money into shit, and I move a certain way, so it benefited me. But I knew that wasn't the right deal for Nation. Merc and Q Smith and them, they felt like at that time that they needed to take that deal, and they took that deal too quick. And to be honest with you, Koch just couldn't handle Young Nation, the type of brand they were and what they really needed, and they didn't understand that type of movement, because there was a lot of stuff E1 didn't understand about me and how I was moving. So I know they weren't gonna understand a brand like Young Nation, but an Interscope or something would. So long story short, they took the deal too quick, and that didn't have nothing to do with Young Nation. It wasn't them. It was, and it wasn't even Q Smith or Merc now. He took a good deal. It was a good situation, but I just wanted to wait out for a better situation. And long story short, Koch kind of dropped the ball on the branding of Young Nation.
Gotcha.
It was more on Koch E1, because they just didn't know how to handle how they were. They didn't know how to market them.
Now, here it is, Get Big is going crazy, but as that single kind of start coming to a slowdown, it felt like Dallas went to a vacuum when it came to hip-hop.
Yeah.
From about 2012, shout out to Puka Leroy. He was trying to do his thing in the city.
Yeah.
Did you ever work with Chief?
Yeah, man. Chief ended up doing the Triple D anthem, man. Man, Chief is crazy because, man, Chief started out, like, Chief did not fuck with me at first. That nigga just did not
Chief ain't fuck with nobody.
Chief did not like Dorrough, bro. But, you know, Chief a real nigga, though, because he was the only nigga one day, because he ended up getting a spot at the condo, too, at the place. We was at the same place. And we ended up seeing each other. He came to my spot one day and came and chopped it up. We chopped it up for like an hour or something at my spot, and he was just telling me like how he didn't fuck with me, but how he see, because the way Chief saw it was, you know, he on some street shit, and these niggas that's coming from, even though, cause I wasn't a boogie, I was in the boogie movement, but I wasn't a boogie artist. Like I didn't make dance songs, but I came in that energy, in that mood. So he just saw the whole thing as one thing. He didn't fuck with none of that. But he expressed that though. You know, he was a real nigga to be like, I just wasn't fucking with it at all. But then he was like, I see what you doing, and I see that, you know, how basically, like, we need to be fucking with each other. I see that you're something different from what I am, and vice versa. And he came and we became cool after that. And then we did the Triple D anthem, you know what I'm saying? So I felt like he was a real nigga for doing it, because most niggas won't do that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, he basically came in a humble way and was like, shit, I was wrong for coming at y'all like that, you know what I'm saying? Because we was the little niggas at the time, and we were just different from the shit he was on. Yeah. You know, but I was already on Chief music before that, so I fucked with him, and yeah, we ended up doing some music. We ended up doing like 2 or 3 songs and a couple videos and everything. That's dope. Yeah.
Chief, one of my favorite people, man. Me and him had 2 interviews. One of them was epic because we was arguing back and forth. Yeah,
he gonna argue with you, but he a funny nigga though, you know what I'm saying? But he a real nigga though. He did, but you know what? Chief did a lot for the city, bro. He was the first one doing a whole lot of shit that motherfuckers may be doing now, whatever, but like he really was the one that he was in his own little, he had his own motion for sure.
Shout out to TV. So he definitely one of my favorite people.
He put on for the city, still is, but he definitely helped out the street side too, you know, when it come to Dallas and just giving motherfuckers a vision, and whether they know it or not, you feel me? Chief paved the way for a lot of motherfuckers. Yeah. Sure.
I always drop this list every year. I hadn't dropped it this year yet, but I always drop this list called Gatekeeper List. And, you know, I just try to highlight people that's behind the scenes that, you know, can make some things happen. Like who artists should get in contact with, get to know what's in their backyard, what they doing. But a lot of people always ask, like, what is it that Bebe really do? A lot of people may get critical of Bebe. Yeah. And he was a part of your career as far as, like you said, with the story of Hurricane Chris. Yeah. But for you, what role does Bebe play?
So Bebe done did this. He done played a lot of different roles. So it started off when I met Bebe, he was at radio in Dallas, but he was also, Bebe had Shreveport on lock. See, Bebe had Cocoa Palace and Shreveport. So he automatically had this system and this motion in another city that will help out any artist. Yeah. So the first thing he was doing was bringing artists from Dallas there, getting them paid, getting us shows, getting us motion, getting our music played. And once that bitch got in Cocoa Palace, that shit was, you hit the whole Louisiana down there, or at least northern Louisiana, and it helped, and it connected with Dallas. So that was the first thing he was doing for Dallas artists, was whoever was popping in Dallas, he'll bring us over to Shreveport and get us popping in Shreveport and start putting money in our pocket. So we appreciated that. Then he was on radio in Dallas. Once your shit was popping in Dallas and then it'd get popping in Shreveport, then it had enough motion for him to help us get on radio. So, you know what I'm saying? So he mediated Shreveport and radio first. That was the main thing he was doing. Yeah. That's 2 big things. You talking about Dallas artists who we ain't never been getting paid before and getting this type of motion. So it started there. Then, you know, he went from that to, you know, he started getting tapped in with a lot of artists, so he started hipping a lot of artists with features, getting them that, connecting with them with the dots. Well, he was basically a dot connector. You know what I'm saying? He connected. If you had the motion, the move, and the mind to know how to utilize a person like Bebe, because he was going to put you in that spot, he was a person that'll put you in that spot, and then it's up to you. You know what I'm saying? I was always a person where all you got to do, you lead me to the water. I'm going to get cups. I'm going to come back with a whole bunch of more water. I'm going to know how to utilize that. Everybody ain't like that. You can put motherfuckers around you can put niggas right next to the finish line and they won't finish the line. They need you to literally pick them up and put them over the line. I'm like, nigga, you just show me where the goddamn finish line at. Show me, point me in the direction, and I'm gonna get there. So Bebe was like that, and the artists that understood that know how to use that. And he been that to this day. To now, he doing a lot of different things. Me and Bebe, we still cool, but as far as on the music side, you know, he do what he do, I do what I do. Gotcha. But as far as what Bebe is, he's what he always been. You know, he's a dot connector. He's a person where once you get to him, he can put you in position, and then it's up to you from there. Yeah. Where a lot of stuff went wrong in the past is a lot of people discovered that they wasn't a certain type of person who knew how to take advantage of getting in position. And that's all it really was, you know? Yeah. Yeah. So for me, he was a nigga that could help you get in position, and then you had to do the rest.
Now,
you know?
Now, the only song I know from you after Get Big was Japanese.
Yeah, Japanese.
Japanese.
Okay.
At this time, when Japanese come out, you rebranded. At this time, you 6'3" now.
Yeah.
What made you switch from Dorrough to 6'3"?
Well, that was 6'3" was already in the brand. We had before Japanese. I'm surprised you missed Beat Up the Block.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, so that came out a couple years before Japanese. When Boosie got out, we did Beat Up the Block. That song went crazy. I was at Boosie crib right before he got locked up. We was recording music, and they took the computer. We didn't get to put the music out.
Yeah.
Soon as Boosie got out, we tapped right back in. So we did Beat Up the Block. So Beat Up the Block was a whole different motion. 6'3" was already an AKA from the mixtapes or whatever, and it was in the brand of that song. A lot of fans took that and ran with it and started making that like something that was basically using that when they would see me.
Yeah.
And then I took that and rebranded / made an AKA. Because the whole point of 6'3" is to separate the music. See, the 6'3" music is really just not for to come out.
Okay.
I always had a split fan base from my first album. I had people who like this sound from me in this style, and then I had people that like this sound and style from me.
So what's the style between Dorrough versus 6'3"?
6'3" the rapper, Dorrough the person, Dorrough the business person, Dorrough the artist.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Dorrough the humanitarian, Dorrough the family man, Dorrough the you know what I'm saying? Dorrough is the human, the person, and 6'3" is the rapper. You know what I'm saying? Straight the rapper. You know what I'm saying? So music wise, the 6'3" records are gonna be just straight bangers. It's just gonna be straight bangers. That's it. That's all. You know what I'm saying? When you hear that, nigga, you gonna hear a rapper. You know what I'm saying? But Dorrough, you gonna after I drop this next album, it's gonna transition to a whole different thing as far as just on some artist shit. So, you know, you'll see Dorrough the live band artist. You'll see Dorrough the storyteller, Dorrough you know what I'm saying, the more substantial, music making artist. Whereas 6'3" the rapper. And you put those together, that's what I've always been. It's just when I dropped that first album, people gravitated towards this way, and then y'all had fans that's with me to this day that gravitated the other way.
Yeah.
I had fans that didn't like the bangers. I had fans that didn't like Walk That Walk and Get Big and Ice Cream Paint Job, but they loved everything else on the mixtapes and them albums I was dropping. Because every time I was dropping albums, it was a combination of one sound and then the bangers. I always knew I had to have bangers to get motion. I always knew I had to make a...
You had your deep cuts and your bangers. Yeah, gotcha.
So I ended up starting getting a split fan base. So the whole reason why I created the brand was to satisfy everybody and make everybody understand what I'm actually doing with the music and get them this. If you want this part, you go to 6'3". If you want this, you go to Dorrough. If you like both, you're gonna get both.
Now, here it is. Dallas ended up going through a deep divide and a tragedy with the passing of MO3.
Yeah.
YellaBeezy at one point in time got shot, and everybody was praying that he pulled through, which he did.
Yeah.
What's your relationship with those guys? Like, did you have a relationship with 3, and do you have a relationship with Trap and Yella now?
So, yeah, first of all, 3 was actually kind of close. 3 was the first rapper to come to me and embrace me and was just like, I want to fuck with you type shit. You know, early 2015, before he became MO3.
Yeah.
We had met at Ballin' for Diabetes, Boosie game. I was hooping with Boosie. He came, and that's where we met. And we locked in there, and he was telling me Rainwater had already hit, I seen Rainwater. I've been on Rainwater since we were little. We used to hoop. I seen him one day in South by Southwest in Austin, and he was telling me about 3 before I even heard. and he was telling me like he about to go into management. He was asking me some tips and shit, but we had a conversation, and that's where I started hearing 3. And then I met 3 shortly after that on our own at this basketball game, and 3 came and embraced me. So I embraced 3. I showed him a studio to go to, introduced him to Legacy, started recording there in Deep Ellum, you know what I'm saying? That's where I did his outside verse, and he did a lot of shit at Legacy with Ray, shout out to Ray. And then I linked him with Jeffa there. So he started shooting. So right then, immediately, he started taking where he was doing, and he upgraded his sound and his visuals. Me and him got cool, and over the years, we locked in a whole lot. I got 2 records with 3 that I ain't even released yet.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? We got 1 that's out. You know what I'm saying? Why my face so fresh? I ended up doing it with 3. 3 was my dog. Trap met through Michael Crabtree. Shout out to Crabtree. Crowd was telling me about Trap before Trap started popping. Yeah. And then I had Crowd bring Trap to that same studio that I was talking about, Deep Ellum. Shout out to Legacy. Shout out to Medlock over there. And I got introduced to Trap. Man, him, it got cool. He did a record. We ended up doing a record that we put out. We shot a video. We shot half of it in LA, shot half of it in Dallas. We put it out. It's out right now. We had got locked in. Yella, me and Yella never did a record, but we had got locked in a long time ago, like before the shit happened with him, and we just never did end up working. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't work with everybody, man. Like a lot of people used to want to feel like I wasn't working with artists in the city, but that was just something that wasn't true. Music is out to this day. I used to fuck with Go Yayo, man. Yayo hit records and shit, videos we shot. So I was disheartened by the whole situation that happened between, you know what I'm saying, 3 and all that, because I love the city. I put on for the city, and they was putting on for the city, and still lives in their own ways. Everybody was doing their thing, and the city was doing this. So when that happened, it created a great divide. And you got 3 who's one of the dopest artists to come out the city, not here no more. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And he was he hadn't even reached his peak yet, And yeah, but 3 for sure, that was my dog for sure. I would say I had the closest relationship with 3.
With 3.
Yeah.
Now here it is right now, man. You back in album mode. This album mixtape.
Album.
Yeah. Well, why album but not the mixtape? What made you come to the album?
Man, bro, because I'm at a level now where the music is just, I'm putting everything into the music and what it's supposed to be. And I wanted to get back to the roots.
Gotcha.
So Texas is a big thing for me, bro. And everything that came full circle. Why I started rapping is why I made Star Baby.
Yeah.
Which is this album. I was introduced to it through the Texas sound, the Texas wave, right? So I wanted to bring that back to the foreface, and Star Baby ended up being the album where I came and I just said, you know what, I'm gonna bring this shit back to Texas. So now when you hear the project, it's exactly that. I can't even, it's hard for me to express it because it's in motion as we speak. It's the Texas sound. It's what people fell in love with. It's when I fell in love with music, with Texas music, it was Lil Flip. It was Swisher House. It was DSR. It was that whole sound, that energy is what made me fall in love with Texas music. That's what Star Baby is as a whole. Every record, it's Texas produced. It's every producer is a producer. DigiNorm, shout out to DigiNorm. He produced half the album. Mr. E produced on it. Q Smith produced on it. Too Much produced on it. 5'9" in Houston produced on it. So it's all Dallas, Houston producers.
What features you got on it?
Nothing but legendary Texas features. Sauce Walker.
Okay.
Power Wall. Lil Flip. Tom Tom. Zero. Young Nation.
That's hard.
Yeah. So you get what I'm saying? So just in saying that, you can already see what the vision is with this album. It's to really put that energy out there to make everybody get that pride again and rep the state, rep the Texas, because that's how we all move. That's how everybody get the bag when you have a movement going on. The biggest movements I've ever seen in Texas was the Houston movement and then the Dallas Boogie movement. But they was both movements when everybody now. So Star Baby is the combination of connecting those cities together, or the whole state together simultaneously. I got Houston and Dallas on this album, producers and features. You know what I'm saying? The music is about that. So it's really kind of to unite the cities, to unite the state, to bring that energy. Because when I come to start dropping out the music after that in the 6'3", it's more on some worldwide international shit. So I felt like I needed to do this and wanted to do this for Texas first.
Yeah.
And shout out to the new artists like Big X the Plug and Mexican OT. They repping. Do you know what I like about them? They repping Texas.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
For
I
sure.
love that shit. You feel me? So, you know, I think that, I know that energy is coming back. And Star Baby is the embodiment of all that.
Now, before we get out of here, in the verses, 10 songs, who win? You or Lil Ronnie Mother F?
Dorrough Music. That's versus anybody.
Anybody?
That's anybody.
Out of 10, how many do you get? How many do Ronnie get?
Out of 10, it just depends on the songs. It depends on what you're putting against what songs you're putting against.
Your best against his best. How many coming out?
It depends on what songs you're doing.
Just give me a number.
I'm gonna win a verse between anybody. It ain't just about no Lil Ronnie.
Yeah.
Anybody on planet Earth, anybody in the city of Dallas, anybody in the city of Houston, anybody in the state of Texas, anybody in California, Dorrough Music.
Dorrough.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I feel like you're supposed to say that. Do you believe it though?
I 100% believe that.
Okay.
100%.
I'll tell you what, Dorrough, man, hell of a story, bro. Star Baby, July 7th. Well, it depends on when I drop it. It's either out now or July 7th.
July 7th. Star Baby. Boys Getting Quiet video coming soon. Still video out right now. Star Baby video out right now. 6'3" Unlocked album coming real soon.
Hey, my man, well, I appreciate you come sitting down with me, man. It means a lot to me. That means I'm starting to elevate closer to real life street stars. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Get on their level.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, but until we meet again.
Yes, sir.
Peace.